Good morning, good afternoon, good evening across the country, around the world. Welcome back to Planet Coaster and Park Buena Vista, the Disneyland that never was. Again, we're building a park, or I'm building a park, designed after a park that was proposed to be across the street actually, from the old Disney Studios on Buena Vista Street in Burbank, but that didn't happen, and then we have Disneyland. Anyway, we are now working on our Main Street area. Oh, there goes the time lapse. We're working on our Main Street area. And yeah, there I go with the concrete flooring slash walkway stuff that ends up getting deleted at the end of this episode. But this little spot here on the corner is going to become our Street Fox coffee, basically the market house, the Starbucks that is now on Main Street, USA. We get the internals laid out, the pathway there, set up some benches. Like, yeah, that'll be like a booth. And I was looking at tables, nothing was really jumping out at me. Nothing like to scale, really. Searching for all the pieces. There we go. Yeah, so the interior of this ends up being like modern wood, kind of modern-ish, looking like the Starbucks we have on, what's it called, looks. I think it looks all right from the inside. In the beginning, we go with, like I said, the concrete flooring stuff, and then we end up getting rid of that, and we wood floor it later, and that's kind of like, that looks okay. But the corner over here that we're looking at now is going to be a brick lower level, or a couple levels, and then there's also going to be, here, this angle here, it's going to be wood paneling. And it was a bit of a struggle to get things quite correct for the angle. Again, Frontier, if you're listening, diagonal pieces. Diagonal pieces and 1 meter wide, or, well, half tile, half square, half grid wide pieces would be nice so that things aren't like clipping and Z-fighting all the time. But it works out all right. The size of it, the sides of it. The one part that's a little janky is the roof later on. And I had the darndest time trying to get that thing lined up in the right spot. It did not want to snap to the right spot. There. Oh, I got it and jumped ahead. Yeah. So we're going to have the 3 entrances there. And, oh, yeah, that part there that we see, you see how it's 3 floors high with the brick and the wood battening on the other side. We finish off the inside. I think I roof it in. There we go with the nice modern wood-looking stuff. Oh, yeah, I have to go select and put it over there. Put 2, because, again, they're only so big. Oh, switch the grid. There we go. That far end does end up becoming I think it's blue. Another blue building. I got a lot of blue buildings. Becomes another blue facade of just another building. All the trash cans, which is good. This was the stage of the game where I was trying to... There we go. See, light blue wood battening. I tried to go and reference the real park as much as I could, and that was that. It's okay. But like this isn't too bad because this was kind of loosely on that thing. The next building we get to will be the Emporium, and that was a bit more of a struggle trying to get that to look correct, to match up with what Disneyland has, and it's not as fun to do that kind of recreation. At least not for me. I know some folks have fun with it. At least I imagine some folks have fun with it, but it was a struggle for me. Oh yeah. Putting in these guys and fine tuning them, I made more work for myself than I needed to, but I think they ended up looking okay. There we go. Yeah, I realized, I can select it from the back. But yeah, the detailing, we use these windows because they are, that is a style just like what they have on the actual market house on Main Street, USA. Sink them in, good. And it ends up looking, like I said, it ends up looking all right. Once you get the canopies on it and recolor them and stuff, I think it turns out pretty good. Overall, I'm fairly happy with the little Main Street downtown section. You'll see further on in this episode, the whole thing, all the ground is covered with that concrete. And like I said, I come to regret doing that, and I get rid of it, and I'm actually a lot happier once it's gone. I'll go back and do more. Like some of the stores might have a little bit of a concrete lip to it, maybe. And maybe we'll do I think we'll do more planters or more kind of bottom borders, kind of like that, to kind of, flesh out buildings a little more. But once I remove all the concrete stuff at the bottom, I was much happier with things, with the appearance of things. Yes. Here we start working on that front corner of the market house on Main Street, USA. The front corner here actually does protrude from the building, and I suppose that's something I could probably try to do. I probably could have tried to do, but the circle was right there. The walkway was already right there. I couldn't really do much more. That would have been a bit. It would have been a different challenge. Probably could have been. It could have been done, but it didn't happen. At least not for this building. Again, the game is more or less grid free in a lot of ways in terms of building coasters and laying out nice curvy paths when you turn angle snap off and stuff. But otherwise, it is a little difficult to build things. The buildings are stuck to a grid though, which makes things difficult to build otherwise. Yeah, and here's the front roof on Main Street again, the real one. That's got its own roof, but to make roofs line up, there's no good way. Everything ends up being kind of janky. And I thought, maybe do that, close it? No. And then I did this. Is that what I ended up doing? I do this. Do I end up closing that gap? I hope I do. I really hope I do. Oh, yes, I end up using the corner pieces like there, like that. Yeah. And that, it's not a perfect solution, but it's pretty close. And actually it lines up fairly well for the diagonal, the corner there. But it's not perfect. But it's close enough for what we were doing. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, and I fill in that wall. So it ends up being a decent emulation of the actual market house, at least as close as one can get with this game. Here we are just filling out the walls, closing it up. The buildings here on Main Street, I said it in the last episode, the buildings here on my Main Street are a lot of taller buildings than I really wanted them to be, I think. They're okay, but I think, I chose, this whole project is, doing it my choosing, right? I chose for this one to emulate Main Street, USA. Whereas the picture, the map of this park that we have, again, these are all a bunch of smaller buildings, or small town, Marceline, Missouri. Whereas, of course, what we have nowadays on Main Street, USA is a bit of stylized, compartmentalized, not even compartmentalized, but more compacted. Just, instead of the buildings being separate and having, alleys between them, no, they're buttered up right next to each other. And that's what I'm doing here. But by doing that, it makes buildings much bigger. Well, at least it's kind of forcing the buildings to be bigger. But it's okay because there's still space, like that back corner back there. Oop, can't see it now. That back corner back there, I end up putting in, shortly after I built this, I put in a first aid and an ATM. And that kind of helps. It's a separate building, and it's at a slightly different angle. And that looks nice. I think it adds itself. It lends itself well to the look. Yeah. Oh, there's concrete. All the concrete. But like I said, we end up getting rid of that because it was just. Oh, and now we've jumped ahead to. Closing the park. We've jumped ahead, and we are. Yeah, I have to close the park because I have to edit the path of the little car ride. Oswald's what's it called? And this is where we're working on the Emporium. And it's got Has Fantastic, a Just a Memento, and a Looney Balloons. All the merchandise stuff is in here as befitting the real Emporium. And this that you're seeing is actually the second try of an Emporium. I couldn't get the angles to line up really quite right for, whoa, camera work. Trying to find the last guests. Make sure all the rides are turned off. Yeah, cycling everything out. Cycling everything down. Good. Anyway, I had a hard time with the front facade, getting that angle to line up. I tried using some other pieces. Like there's the corner pieces that are octagonal. For like an octagonal tower that are the four pieces that have kind of the three sides that are kind of a 45-degree angle. The look was right. The fit was not. So I actually spent about an hour building a first Emporium, and then I was just so displeased with it, I didn't go with it. This Emporium turns out much better. The path work inside, I think, is much cleaner. The entrances are much cleaner. And then, of course, here goes the roof, and we have to go as much as we can, square it off one way, and then stick them in the other way to close all the gaps, and try really hard to get it into that spot. Sometimes these things, when you split the grid to the to the half tile, the pieces really struggle to fit on that half tile. You have to like place them in the wrong place, and then select them and then move them. And then when you move them, they will shift over that half a tile. It's kind of weird. It's kind of annoying, but that's just the way it is. Oh yeah, and here we come again with that. There's that corner, and what do we do? What do we do with it? And it's a bit of a struggle again. Is that what I end up doing? Yes, I do end up doing that. So that's yes. That way the roof lines all close up and nothing is left awkwardly open. And it's the roof line would have been squared off on the front a bit more, but this is what we have to work with, so it's what we do. Oh yeah, these are like, those are like facade roofs. They're not even like, they end and they don't go any taller. But that they end up looking all right as well. Again, this was the part where I don't even want to say frustrated with the game. I was probably more frustrated with myself and my lack of creativity or whatever. But I was really struggling to get this to look the way I wanted it to. Or at least to do the things that I kind of wanted to do with it. It would have been a bit more part intensive, and I don't know if it would have been worth it. It would have. My computer's better now that I have the new video card, but it would have drug things on a bit more and made things take a lot longer and run slower. I am trying to be conservative when I build things. I mean, again, better video card, but my CPU is toward the bottom of the spectrum for the game. So I try to do things as cleanly as I can and as simply as I can without doing too much that clutters it up. Too many polys, or what is it called? Silver, I'd say polys. But yeah, too many polys. You don't want too many objects to be there for the computer to have to draw. Otherwise, it's just not going to be happy. But once actually, so I do something I think is kind of neat down here. At the Emporium at Disneyland is a whole bunch of display windows, and it's usually like miniature kind of animatronic-ish windows. Like there's some right now. There's a sequence of them that what do? They change. That's right. They usually pop up and open. Like one sequence is Peter Pan, and they're in the nursery, and then the nursery drops out, the roof flies away, and then poof, they're flying over London, and they drop out of the sky, and they're flying on strings. That's cool. So anyway, all those windows are actually display windows. So I did that here with the half height stucco wall, and then the half height windows. It's not correct. It's not ideal, but it's decent. And then I got those stone windows, and then once I put these quinons, they start with a Q. I forget what they're called. It was just typed in down there. Once I put those in, I think that's when the building kind of, for me, I don't want to say came to life, but that's when it got much closer to quote correct. And then these awnings, and I realized, I started on the up awning. The walls, they're kind of jumped from one side of the tile line to the other side of the tile line, so I had to adjust that. But it was at this point that I was like, okay, I think I can do this. And before this, I was really, really frustrated with the Emporium. And then once I got those windows and the awnings and those little balconies, I was like, okay, no, this is working. This is working for me. Little window there. Trying to find a big window that's like appropriate for there, right above the balcony. And I think we go with this guy and two others off to the side, because it is kind of a 3-windowed tiered, taller in the middle, smaller on the outside window there. And then I wanted to do the windows up on here, and I could have done it with windows that you stack and stack and stack, but that just felt, that I don't care for that. It's just too many parts. So we ended up going with those facades, little stucco window facades, and just slap on some windows on there, and it works. I think it works. It honestly, those windows in Disneyland are just for show, so it works out just fine. And that's pretty much the finished Emporium. Yeah, and again, here we go with all the tiles, all the concrete. We end up flooring that whole thing in, only to remove it again at the end. And I had to get to like this point and to see how it looked and how the guests behaved around it and whatnot before I really realized, like, nope, this doesn't work. I am not feeling it. But I let it get pretty far before I actually delete it. Yeah, and that's the Emporium. So next we end up, I think it's next. Yes, we work on this corner here, and this is going to be a little food place. I wanted to do something that was kind of reminiscent of the Plaza Inn, but not that big, not that grand. So we end up going with something a bit smaller, and it's just kind of a little food court-ish, with some little tables and walkways and plants and things. I end up liking this building a lot. It's smaller, much smaller, compared to a lot of the rest of the buildings, but it's going to be one of a few buildings that'll end up on this corner. But this is the last one we work on in this episode. After this, I actually jump over and do the water and do other things, and I will come back to working on Main Street again, and filling out some of the smaller slots for other buildings and things, and more other facades too. But this is a nice little L-shaped, V-shaped. It's symmetrical, so it wouldn't be an L. Whatever it is, I end up liking it. I think it looks fairly nice. Have the nice little walkway that sticks out in front. Yeah, I changed that. Yeah, there it goes. Walkway that sticks out in front. So it's a really simple little building, which is, that's the roof line. But we end up, putting in the pillars and the railings and the awnings and things, and I think it looks pretty nice. And yeah, because we got that tile lining up with that roof piece, you have a little bit of the tile sticking out of the back. The tile, or the wall piece. The wall pieces will cut the angles of themselves when they meet each other at a right angle, but it doesn't cut itself when it meets a roof, which I wish it would. Again, lots of things on the wish list for Planet Coaster, but I love it. It's a great game. Don't get me wrong, but there are, of course, as with any game, things for the wish list. And yeah, once I get these railings in and kind of get them lined up, and yeah, this, I think, I really like the way these end up looking. And it wasn't about this time that I realized, okay, doing my own thing is kind of fun. I mean, obviously we're doing something that is a bit of an interpretation of what Walt could have done if he'd gotten access to this lot. I'm sure we're all grateful he didn't, because Disneyland is amazing. But taking it at this point and putting my own touch on things instead of really like recreating Disneyland, I was enjoying myself much more. Plus, it allowed me to be as simple as I wanted to be. And I'll admit, I'm a little bit simple when it comes to some of things. I am not, again, I am not a silverette. I am not a person who can like use wood pieces to make something amazing out of little tiny prop pieces. I don't have that type of skill. But building this, just kind of simple and making it, work for the game, I was really starting to enjoy things a bit more than I was with the market house and the Emporium there. Got little ivy crawling on the side. Nice little planted, lush area. Oh, that's it for that building? Yes. Aha, here we go. Yep, and I did a save there because, like, okay, I'm going to move these tiles, and I want to see, what does it look like when it's gone? And once it started going, I just kind of went, yeah, this is better. This is much better. Because the tile, I don't know, it broke up. It made everything feel really open, which is the way it really is, but it didn't feel right for me and for the game and for things. Oh yeah, I leave it there under the firehouse because that's supposed to be like a parking space for the fire truck. And I'll leave some of them over at the city. Well, I leave the raised ones there at City Hall. Yeah. Oh, there we go. We're adding the curb back to the paths. And yeah, I think it looks much better. It looks more correct. Oh yeah, delete that last part too. Yeah, and I'm really happy with the way that turned out. Oh yeah, here I used some wood pieces to try to cover up the grass pieces. That is one thing I wish we had, like in Roller Coaster Tycoon World. I'm sorry. Whoa, no, not World. In Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, you had the option to do ground painting in the color of concrete. And I do wish we had that or more options for tiling things. And I suppose I could go back and just add paths to more. I might do that. Some of those squared off pieces, just fill it in with the path tile. Because these wood pieces, like in this janky corner, what are you going to get? What are you going to do? That's you don't really have many options for covering up the grass in places like that. So that's what we do there. Oh, yep, move the last bits out of the Emporium. And here we end up, I think I do it on camera. Do I do it right now? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm trying to get, so we do a little more path work to try to get it, to kind of get the store having a little more, there we go, a little more something going on. I tried like coloring it some other color and it didn't work out. So there's a lot of grass inside the buildings, which is a little bit unfortunate. And then we just add a nice little fountain here. Nothing too crazy. I was playing with the water effects. We ended up going actually with the octagonal one. And then a few little pillars with water spitting out. There we go. Up, like Towers of Hanoi, kind of shifting those guys around. And I think I put a few little short, whoa, those are really tall. Some of the smaller, there we go, fountain burst pieces there. Boop, 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 boop. And there's the fountain. I do end up lighting it. But that'll be it for this episode. I think we jump ahead now to some cinematic shots. Yes, and there we are. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. If you like, hit subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, pass the word. I will catch you later.